Hello. Today I'm looking at how I foiled the frame for this card. So this is one of Couture Creations Cut, Foil and Emboss dies. It's the nesting butterfly set. So nesting butterfly frames. So actually a 3-part set, but I've only used this part for the foiling. So this is what I've used on the card. And I just want to go through the process of doing the foiling for this. So I've foiled onto some thin pearlescent finish card. It's kind of a soft white. So that's the card I've used, and I'm using Couture Creations blue foil, it says, and it's a mirror finish foil. It's like quite a kind of an indigo blue, so quite purpley. So that's the card. So let's look at what I do when I do this. So to avoid getting foil in the middle section of the frame, although we're going to cut it out in this instance, I don't always. So what I do is I cut the foil out from the middle of the die. So what I've got here, I've got a self-healing cutting mat, and I've got one that I use just for trimming my foil on, so that it hasn't got any kind of lumps and bumps where it's been cut. So if I move my foil around on it, it's not going to damage the underside with scratches. Okay, so what I do is I cut my foil to size and I tape it down on my mat, just in a couple of places, and I trim it reasonably close to the edge of the frame. And I use, here's a craft knife or a scalpel. I've got the Couture Creations craft knife here, and I like this one because it's got a nice cover to go over the blade, like that. And when the cover's on it, it can't roll, because the end of the cover there is flat and bigger than the knife, so, and it's got ridges on it, it can't roll. I also like it because when you're changing the blade, you undo this thing at the end to loosen it off, which means I'm not trying to unscrew something near the sharp blade. So the replacement blade is just go in the end, and then you tighten it up and your fingers are then nowhere near the sharp bit. Okay, so I've taped this down, I've trimmed around the edge. I don't normally have a big piece of tape, that's just there today because I'm picking it up to show to the camera. So I've already cut round 3 of the sides, and I'm just going to finish it off, cutting down the edge here. So I'm just a few millimetres from the metal of the die, going around the inside, and then that piece of foil comes away, and then I've got a pristine piece of foil for foiling my sentiment. Okay, so that's another reason for cutting the middle out. It means that piece of foil stays in pristine condition and usable. Okay, so that's finished with the knife. So then I need to transfer this onto my piece of card. So I untape it completely. So I'm just holding it down with the die while I untape, and I can take the die out of the way, put the foil on my card, put the die on top, and then I can tape it down to the card. And that means it's not going to move when I transfer it onto my GoPress hot plate. Okay, you just need a couple of pieces of tape. It doesn't really want to move, you know, it's just so I can pick it up and do that, and the foil isn't going to get puckered. Okay, so that's that. Let me move that out of the way. Now on my GoPress, I have my Couture Creations conversion plate. Okay, now let me just zoom the camera in. I'm not sure you can read, you're probably not going to be able to read it, but here it actually says metal conversion plate. It's a thick metal plate made by Couture Creations to give you the pressure and support you need to foil and cut these dies at the same time. Okay, so that's on there. So I just need to put this on here. It goes die side down. Okay, so die side down, and not, it's better to have it nearer to the handle than the hinge. Okay, so that needs to warm up. I usually give it about a minute. It possibly doesn't need that long, but that's how long I tend to leave it for. Okay, so while we're waiting, let me just talk about the card a bit more. So this die set comes, it's a 3-part set. It comes with an inner frame and a butterfly. So you can cut this inner part out using that inner die. That creates enough space. Or if you've got some nesting dies that create a nice shape to go in there, you can use those instead. So it's entirely up to you how you cut that middle out, but you just die cut it after you've foiled it. Okay, and then the paper I've used is actually from the Le Petit Jardin collection, which was out earlier in the year. It's got these lovely kind of blue flowers, so I've just made some die cut flowers here to coordinate with that, and I've used the Evening Branch mini die from the Le Petit Jardin collection to add some foliage. Okay, so that's my card. I think that's probably had long enough to warm up. So let me just twist the camera around. You can see what I'm doing over there. There we are. Zoom it back in. There we are. That's it. Okay. Right. Okay, it's just gone back to heating again, so I shall wait till it turns green. I'm just going to stand up. Okay, so pulling the GoPress off the platform and into my, I've got a Big Shot Plus, so to avoid a big clonk I quite often go in at a slight angle, but you can do this going in straight if that's what your machine lets you do. So slowly winding thereafter all the way to the end. And then I like to come back again. Okay, let's bring the camera back round. Okay, so at this stage I like to have a look. Well, it's cut and I can see kind of an impression of the die on the back everywhere, so that's a good indication. It probably has foiled okay as well. I'm just going to slide it off carefully. You can use your pick and lift. And it doesn't pick the plate up because that isn't made of the same kind of metal. Okay, so I'm just going to, it cools quite quickly, so I'm just going to turn that over and take a piece of tape off. I'm just going to have a look and see if it looks like it's foiled. I'm just going to peel that back. So when it's foiled, I'm going to have to take this out of the way to be able to pick it up. Okay, so where it's foiled, let me zoom the camera in. Try and get, right, if I look on that corner and get it to focus, there we are. You can see it's almost a different colour where the foil has been transferred onto the card. Okay, so you're looking for that, and you want to make sure before you peel your foil that you can see that on all the parts. Okay, that the foil has transferred. I'm just going to move the bit on the edge out of the way. Okay, and today it does look like it has foiled very nicely everywhere, but sometimes I've had it that on one corner, on one edge it hasn't, and you can put the die back in, and I usually tape it together with the card and pass it through again, maybe rotate it so it's just a different angle. So there we are. Better shot of that. There we are, so you can see. So let me take the foil off. There we are. And that has foiled all the way around. Let's bring the camera zoom back to one. There we are. Okay. So it does tend to leave a little bit of foiling around the cut line at the edge. You can remove it if you want to. And there's a Couture Creations Creative Detailer for that. Or you can use what's called a sand eraser. So flat sand eraser, you just rub very gently, but it's a bit difficult to get into all the corners. So the Creative Detailer, let me just pull the rubber out a bit on this one, so you just, as it wears down, you adjust it and pull it out, and it comes with lots and lots of replacements, so as you wear them down you just put a new one in. And it's just a case, let me zoom the camera in again a bit more, get this way you can see it, turn the camera a bit, there we are. There we are. So it's just a case of you press the button on the side of this, the rubber spins, and it just makes it easier. And it just makes it easier to go around the edge and remove any foiling from there. Some people leave it there. It's just one of those things that happens as you're cutting. It tends to lay down a little bit of foil. So there we are. So this is my frame. That's my newly, zoom the camera out. There we are, the card. Focus the card. There we are. There we are, the card and the foiling. Okay. Thank you for watching.